Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad that you found us here on YouTube of Survivors Post Narcissist. Be sure to like and subscribe if you agree with some of the things that I say, and be sure to leave me a comment to let me know where you are and the things that you've learned and trying to help others that are viewing these videos. My last video was about what a narcissist feels, because they do have feelings. And once you learn what they do feel, it really helps you to combat them. I have other videos on revenge, and this video is not going to be about revenge or winning or beating a narcissist at their own game. I want this talk to be about what a narcissist is afraid of, because they do have some real fears, and it's what drives them. And I really think the number one thing that scares a narcissist is them having someone else remove their mask and someone else finding out who they really are, because they will take off their own mask. Or sometimes it'll slip, and they'll do it to really hurt you. It's like you know when you're in a fight with a narcissist, it's like, you want to know who I really am, and the mask comes off, and they'll do things to get the biggest reaction out of you, right? Like they'll drop a bomb on you with things like that, and they'll do that as a tactic, but they are petrified of you removing their mask or someone removing their mask and finding out who they are. That's one of their biggest fears. And they're actually very scared of you finding out who they are, and instead of outing them or revealing them and doing the one thing that will devastate them, is you leaving them and cutting off their supply. So on their end, they're absolutely petrified that you will find out who they are and what they're about, and you're not going to start a fight, because that would actually give them negative fuel. You would find out who they are, and instead of doing anything, the only thing you do is leave them standing there with nothing. That will shake them to their very core. Them being completely blind, you blindsiding them and you leaving them and cutting off their fuel supply without them being ready for it or planning for it, or that is so the scariest thought that they can't even think about it, because even the thought of something like that happening to them is petrifying. So if you want to know what the big fear of a narcissist is, because they do have feelings, they just have the bad ones, right? But their biggest fear is you finding out who they are and you leaving them overnight. That would be the big Hiroshima bomb that you would drop on them. Because they fear some other things. There are some other things that are simply narcissistic injury. Like if you were to start ignoring them, or anybody to ignore them, that causes a lot of damage to them, right? Because they want to be fed by you or by anybody, right? So if anyone actually ignores them, that does huge amount of damage to them. They fear being a nobody, and someone them being in a room and no one even noticing that they're there. These are very secret, dark fears that a narcissist have. I mean, we can all say that we're all living life and we want to be seen, but there's healthy ways of doing that. A lot of us want that, to be seen by someone we love and have a mutual desire for it. But for a narcissist, it is do or die for them to whether or not to be seen, right? So I will do other talks and future videos about narcissistic injury, because certain things will hurt a narcissist that don't hurt necessarily you or I, or things that we can easily get over it, but for a narcissist, they'll never forget it. For those of you that are still in a relationship with your narcissist, and maybe you're trying to figure out if they are a narcissist or how to leave them, or if you're being hoovered right now and you're trying to keep your mind straight so their hoover won't work on you, because their hoovers are tactful. I mean, they will do anything to hoover you. The thing that they do the most to hoover is to pretend to feel things, so you really doubt that they're a narcissist. You know, they'll start crying. They'll wrap their arms around your legs and beg you to stay and say they'll change, and you'll see them with all this emotion, but it's all fake, right? That emotion is being called on like an actor to put on a performance to convince you that they're compassionate and normal and have, you know, and are going to give you all this love, right? But that's the deceitful part of it, right? They'll do anything to apologize and say they're going to self-improve themselves. And if they say that they're going to go to therapy or they've worked on themselves or anything like that, you know, stop right there. That's an absolute lie. If they go to therapy, it's more like they'll go to therapy to learn more tricks in order to become a better narcissist. And if they go to couples therapy, I mean, that could be devastating if you have a therapist that doesn't know who he really is, because he'll seduce the therapist into thinking that you're, you know, the crazy one type thing. And all they're going to do is get better at being a narcissist and start to mimic the therapist in order to make like it 2 against 1 all of a sudden in a therapy session. So one of the last things that you can do is to go to a therapist. You know, if you want to scare and really do something damaging to a narcissist, that's to leave without a fight. And it has to be left and completely cut off from one day to the next. Like turning off the faucet of supply is the most scariest thing that you can do to them. Because if you try to out them as a narcissist, like say you find out who they are and you know what they are, you've learned a lot of things about them, and you want to confront them, right? You want to say, I know who you are, I know what you are, I know what you're about. And you want to, when you discover it, you really want to confront them and just like air it all out and have like the fight and come away victorious. That's kind of what you want, but that won't work because they're a narcissist. Because doesn't matter what you say, first of all, it's going to be negative fuel for them, and second of all, it will make the narcissist vendettive. Like they will want to hurt you even more, and they'll do things to hurt you even more. And that includes hoovering you, love bombing you all over again just to get rid of you again. Like they'll do things like that if you try to out them like that and try to confront them about who they are. Because if you think that, you know, someone coming up to you and someone trying to tell you who you are and you having to defend yourself, okay, times that by 1,000, and that's what you're going to do when you're going up against a narcissist with those thoughts and ideas of starting to out them out. If you find out that you're with a narcissist, the only thing you can do is leave. The best thing you can do is leave. And in doing that, it's the biggest fear that they have, is someone doing that to them. It's like, it's so scary they can't even think about it. So, you know, and a lot of us kind of like, oh, I wish I had known that he was a narcissist before I got discarded, and I could have discarded him. Well, you know, some people did find themselves in those positions, and you're never going to win with a narcissist. But if I had to come up with a scenario where we didn't get injured but they did, and that the only one is you to completely cut them off, and somehow letting them know that you know what they are without starting the fight or confronting them. That would send them into, a hole where they would need to go and hide and lick their wounds before they can go out and get new supply again. That would be the ultimate. It's kind of a dark video, which really I shouldn't do on a Sunday because it's supposed to be a nice, chipper day and it's beautiful outside. But sometimes these topics just, have to be. It just has to come out. So, thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. Be sure to leave me your comments and list any other topics of things that you wanna have discussions about, and I'll try to make a video for it as we all move forward as survivors post-narcissist.